Currently on the dashboard?
Oh, no. Nope, it just says one box. Yeah.
All right. Give me 1 second. Let me...
Yep, there it is. Yeah, that is up.
All righty. So we do have quite a few people on. I see some familiar names. I see some new names. I see some names I've never ever seen before. So welcome. As we've done in the past, we're going to keep this loose and flexible, and just an opportunity for us to move forward. Feel free to jump in at any time with questions, comments, concerns, and issues. I'm not muting the line, so that does mean if you should put us on hold and you have elevator music, everybody will hear it, and then we'll boo you when you come back. Or, please put yourself on mute if you're going to be having side conversations in your room. With that, there's been a lot of questions on the message or on the Facebook user group just around contracted groups and non-contracted groups and best practices and things like that. So sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. And I wanted to at least spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, even if it's an hour, just going through how potentially this could work, or at least how many of us are doing sort of group contracts today. And then you can make the determination if that works for you. And if not, the beauty of this system is it's flexible enough to do it any way that you find works for you, so as it's not going to, for instance, force you into doing it a way that you don't understand or doesn't make sense to you. So, and then after we go through the group, we could, obviously, I'll stay on the line for any other questions, comments, concerns, issues, enhancement requests, ideas, or just general conversation. With that, just want to again confirm you guys can see the screen.
Yep.
Okay, and then my only other, just let you guys know, is I'm in the demo database since we are taping this. So the data in here isn't the best, but we could build it out as we go a little bit to do this test case. So is there any immediate concerns before I jump into the conversation of groups? And then we'll again hold for questions, comments, and everything else after that. All right. So I'm going to start a little bit in the beginning and hit on a bunch of things really quickly, and then we can go to the individual reservations, etc. So first off, to create a new group, search, add new group profile, and you could name this anything you want. If you care about group types, you can build out your list. You can assign an agent. You could assign a supplier. You could do a type. If you have a contracted group, you probably have one number. You could give it when the trip date is and when the final payment date is, because this will automatically trigger these dates on anything that's attached to it. Pretty self-explanatory. Going back to, I'm going to just jump back to the Jackson 5 group that we've always been playing with. Once you go, and I'll just hit on a couple things on this page. So first, a couple people have asked, how do I email the entire group? That's the button right there on the group record. It's smart enough to go into every one of these trips, and anywhere that there's a email address, it's going to pull those email addresses into whatever your mail program is, and your default email message, whatever in your setup for your group email blast. So what I've been doing, since I actually don't have a group email profile set up, or I've been generally using this to pull all the email addresses and then sending whatever email I need to adding all these people on the BCC line instead of the 2 or CC lines, because I don't generally know if they may not know all each other, and they may not want their email blasted to 100 people. So I've been putting it on the BCC line. I could send a have a great trip, final payment notices. If I don't want to do it up for each individual reservation, I could do it all at once. Welcome back emails, anything that you might have for a group, you could use this to at least build your email list for that group. On groups of 5 rooms, probably not a huge time saver. On groups of 50 or 100 rooms, it's amazing how many email addresses might be tied to it. And you don't have to manage that list, because it's going to automatically go and see who's tied to this group to pull the names. Questions on that before just going through?
Well, so when you click on that, Mitch, does it create a list?
Yeah, it's going to, just like any other email, it's going to automatically open up your email software.
Oh, so then you would just copy.
So I just take these names generally, cut them, paste them here, and then whatever email I have, I could type it out, and I don't have to worry about, because this list changes could change all the time, right? Somebody cancels, somebody gets added, somebody changes their email address. You don't have to worry about always somehow storing that, what's my current group look like?
Okay.
Anytime you click this, it's going to just go to see all these trips, any of the emails, and automatically pull them.
Perfect, thank you.
All right.
Also pull the quick profile emails and any secondary email.
It will pull any email tied to any person, tied to any trip.
Perfect, thank you.
Or at least that's the way it was specified and designed, and I haven't had anybody report that as a bug yet. And on some of mine, I'm seeing it pull through all. So it should work. If it doesn't when you do it, please let me know. But on all the groups we're doing, it's working just fine. So some of the other things just on this page, just because I'm on this page and it's easy, as we've always talked about, you can add a reminder to any object in the entire database. So any contact, any group, any trip, any reservation, and you can assign it to yourself. You could assign it to other agents, and you could assign it as individual reminders or group reminders. And I feel like I do this on every single training, but I'll do it again. An individual agent reminder means if I send this to myself, Elizabeth, and Anna, all 3 of us will get individual reminders. So let's say I complete my task, but Anna didn't complete hers, it would still be on her dashboard. If I deselected this and sent it, if Anna completed her task, it would remove it from all 3 of our dashboards. So sometimes we want everybody to do something, sometimes we only need one person to do something, so we built it both ways. The other thing you'll see on every record is the attached files. So you could attach a file to any contact, group, trip, reservation, etc. And on groups, we're finding we are always copying. If it's a contracted group, this is where you store the group contract. If you're sending out save the dates or wedding booklets or know before you go booklets or anything you want to attach to a group so that anybody else in your agency or so you have it forever, this is the best place in the world to store it, because we never knew where to store it in the past where people could share it. Yep, that's Mitch talking. The other thing is we built this quick link button. So if, for instance, you came here and you didn't see a reservation you knew was tied to this group, you wouldn't have to go and find it and then attach it. You could actually, if it's a contracted group, anything with that group number, whether it's a cruise or land or whatever, if you click this, it will actually go through the database and find every other room with that same reservation number and automatically link it. So I don't know if a lot of people know it was here or using it, but we built it. If you link it on the front end, you never need to use it, but sometimes you forget to link it, and it's a quick way to do that. This would work for obviously TI contracts, FunJet contracts. It would not work for EGT contracts because they don't use an EGT. You know, each individual room has its own reservation number. Questions on any of the ancillary stuff we just went through?
Yes, I have a question about the reminders real quick. I found when I'm fairly new, so I found when I was adding reminders, they have reminders in, you know, the trip, the reservations, and I was getting multiple reminders for the same thing. So where would I ideally just want to put like a final payment reminder, or where do you put those?
Well, I'll be honest and say for final payments, the system automatically creates the reminder off of your trip.
Okay.
So unless I would never create, for instance, a final payment reminder, because it's going to pull from here and it's going to automatically put it on your dashboard up here.
Okay.
So if you're creating manual final payment reminders, unless it's where you have, in the rare case, more than one different final payment date on a trip, like if you have your cruise payments due 60 days before, but your land tours due 45 days before, otherwise you never need to create a final payment reminder because they're automatically done.
Okay, then in that case, what about if I wanted to set a reminder like 10 days before it's due to send out a reminder, okay, your final payment's coming due on this date?
I wouldn't waste my time. Instead, the way I do it is in the morning when I log in, I check out my next whatever date period you want to use, 7 days, 10 days, and I'll calculate out that far and click these buttons for those people.
Okay.
Rather than send yourself a reminder to go and look for which coming due. My first thing is in the morning is I'll go and see what I have here. I'll see what final payments I have that I already haven't sent reminders for. I'll go here to see who I have traveling in the next few days that I want to send a have a great trip. I'll go to birthdays and anniversaries and send out any notices. And, you know, within 8 minutes, I'm done all my administrative stuff for stuff that's in here.
Okay.
You know, if you get in the habit of doing it first thing in the morning, I do it actually before I even look at my email, because if I look at my email, that's going to distract me.
Yeah.
So I come here first thing every morning. I say done, 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 done. Then I know I don't have anything to do on my dashboard that I haven't already done.
Okay.
Now I can go to my email and see, you know, whose hair is on fire. And again, everything I'm saying is just me after using this a year. By no means is that the only right way to do this.
Sure.
So, I mean, but if you create reminders where to put them, if it's something that relates to a group and it's at the group level, I would put the reminder on the group. If it's a reminder like at a trip or reservation level, like reminder to register their booking, I would put that on the reservation. You know, if it's a certain hotel chain that you register, if it's you want to contact the resort, you know, you could put that on the trip or the reservation. If it's something like, you know, remind them to, I don't know, complete the, get a notarized letter that they're bringing a minor without both parents. I mean, you could tie that to, you know, the trip also. I mean, because you don't want that on their profile per se forever. It would just be something related to that trip or that reservation.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else on any of this stuff? And great questions. I mean, we have all sorts of different skill levels on the phone, so don't be embarrassed. You know, this WebEx will only be available for the next 25 years on YouTube. Wow, not even a giggle.
You're all on mute. I was laughing. I'm on mute.
All right. So why don't we just go through, again, the way I'm doing groups is what made sense for me. It seems to make sense for most of my agents because it's how we're running most of our weddings. or other contracted groups. I don't think it works as well in a social group situation where everybody's sort of, there isn't necessarily a lead who's prepaying for everybody else's deposits. But again, that's for you guys to determine. So let's say this was my wedding, because I'm part of the Jackson 5, and I was putting down the deposit for the trip. So, of course, none of this information makes sense, so you'll just have to forgive our bogus data. But generally what I'm doing is when I go to create my reservation, I'm putting the entire payment on whoever the lead is. So let's say it was a $5,000 initial deposit and their room price was only $4,100. I'm still putting all of that. I'm just erasing some of this stuff. All of that on their booking. So let's say in this case, it's their trip is $4,600, but they had to make a bigger deposit. I would put, let's say they had 60 rooms. I would put a $6,000 payment here as part of their initial deposit. I would say it's their initial deposit. I would put in here that it's the initial group deposit for 60 rooms. And this way, I know that that's how much was on the group. At the same time, if you obviously ran and generate an invoice, you're going to see that there's a negative amount. And I send that to the client so that they can see that as of this point, we owe them money. And that may change over time as they change their room. They cancel rooms, they add rooms, who knows? But right now, it shows that I owe them money. I actually like that. And my clients seem to like that also, because in many of these group contracts, they're always worried about how much money will I get and when do I get it. So it clearly tracks here what they paid and how much their trip was for their room. The other way we're using it is, let's say they want to apply a deposit from their amount to somebody else's room. Like they want to pay their parents or siblings deposits. We generally, what we'll do is we'll create that other room reservation so that it's tied to the group. In that deposit, we'll put a note that it was paid by bride and groom's deposit. And what we'll do here is we'll add a negative payment saying that $100 was moved to reservation for brother, sister. And we'll do that so that we know that now the amount that's owed to them is $100 less than it was before, because we moved $100 over. Let's say after final payment and during trip, they get their comp amount. I'll add that comp amount as a payment here also, because then it just goes to how much we owe them back at the end of this thing. So if their comp was, $1,500, I would just add it whatever date, and just say, room comp earned. And then when you generate an invoice, the nice thing about, or at least in my opinion, the nice thing about it is they can see all the money tied to everything that has to do with their balance. This was their original, this was where they moved it, this is the comp they earned, and this is exactly how much we owe them back. And there's never questions.
Is that on their invoice, Mitch?
Yeah, this would be, for instance, the bride and groom's invoice.
Okay, all right.
So, I create a room for them just like I do any wedding guest. The only difference is, in most cases, they have a negative balance starting out because, unless it's a small wedding, and small weddings, they would just owe money. But let's say their room was here $4,600. and they made a $2,000 payment, and because they had 20 rooms, then I still am marking that they owe me $2,600 at final payment. And if they want to allocate $200 to other people's rooms, then that just increases the amount that they're due come final payment. And if they get a room comp, again, it's one place for me to track everything. It says the date that I made an adjustment, the notes for the adjustment. It keeps a running total, and it tells me at the end how much they're due or how much they owe me.
Awesome. Thanks.
So I know, there were some questions that this didn't make sense for people, and they'd rather create a new reservation for, the group as a way to track the group payments. I mean, to me, that's just an extra step that adds confusion to this, because at the end of the day, they're paying for their room, even if they have a free room. In reality, they're paying for it and then just getting a comp back. For me, it just makes more sense to do everything according to their room. And then I know a lot of others have asked questions about how do we track commissions. I would put all the commissions at the group level right here. So how much are we expecting? We're expecting, $8,000 for this contracted group. My percentage is whatever, if it was overrided or calculated. And I would say that this is the group commission expected, on contract. And then, because if it's TI or others, they're only going to give us one check. So it's a way for me to match out each, my check versus what I expected. And on each of the underlying rooms, I just put commission at 0. And it actually makes things really easy, because when I'm going to create those child reservations, I don't have to worry about figuring out what the commission is going to be. And yeah, this is how I'm doing it. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's how makes sense for you or how you do it. But from both an agent and an agency owner, to me, this is the simplest, cleanest, fastest, and most efficient way for the record keeping of commissions. On EGT contracts, because we download the individual room commission amounts, I'm not putting a group commission on the parent, on the bride and grooms, because on each room I'm actually getting what the real commissions are as I go and download those reservations. Questions, comments, issues, additional demonstrations. I would do group cruise, group escorted tour, group river cruise. I mean, a group is a group. At the end of the day, you're only generally going to get paid at the top line, and it just makes sense for me to manage it this way. Anybody?
Good.
Okay. Anything else related to groups that may be confusing or annoying or ideas? All right. You guys do know this this new button was from the last release, where it sends the email link so you don't have to attach the PDF.
Wait, what?
Now on your invoice, if you generate an invoice, it always saves you your list of invoices that you've generated. But before, you used to have to save the PDF on your hard drive and then email them a copy of your PDF. Now you can just use this handy dandy email button to email them that link.
Yeah. We've been using it.
It saves definitely a step, and if people are on smartphones, this works much better than them trying to open a PDF, depending on how ghetto their smartphone is. our number of questions are, I don't see it, the attachment have gone to 0 by using this button.
Yep.
I'll basically leave it for open questions, comments, concerns. I don't think there were any new items on Facebook over the weekend or today that require demonstration. So I guess the rest of, I'll stay on as long as people have questions. And there's no such thing as a bad question.
I have a question about invoicing, Mitch.
Fire away.
I'm still new to this, so I haven't gotten everything in the system to be able to really fully functionally use it yet, but I played around with doing some invoices. I pulled the information from EGT, and then I would view an invoice, and there was always double of everything in there. And I had to go in and, do I have to do that every time?
Double meaning you had blank fields and then you had the downloaded fields?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what you're doing.
Okay.
When you're going to, so Ricky Lake's going on vacation, you're adding a trip, she's going away, you're filling out this stuff.
Yeah.
You're saving, you're going to add new reservation, package, EGT, you're typing in the res number.
Okay.
If you hit save, it will auto-generate air transfers, hotel transfers, air insurance.
Okay.
If you don't hit save and just hit update reservation from supplier, it will download it without those additional fields.
Oh, for some reason I was thinking you had to save it first so it pulled the reservations and then do, okay.
Yep. Yeah, no, if I hit update here, it would download it cleanly. If you hit save, because I'll hit save, it will auto create air, transfer, hotel, transfer, air, insurance.
Okay.
And the reason we did that was for manual, so if this was classic, you'd want that saved so that you didn't have to manually go add component, add component, add component, add component, add component.
Okay.
It would just be easier to already have these pre-filled, and if, let's say, you weren't doing air, it's quicker to just hide the air or delete the air, whatever you feel like doing, than it would be to actually add. But if you're doing TI, Mark Travel, or TI, don't save, click update first.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I was like, well, I still have to go back in and keep looking at these invoices and make sure they're correct, and then I had to tweak it and edit.
Yes, I advise you, though, I always generate an invoice and look at it before I send it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, especially if it's one of the TI ones where you have 19 fields of garbage.
Yeah.
Right? I always go through and I'll hide, but sometimes I miss something I need to hide.
Yeah.
And my best practice is, and I don't delete anything. I hide everything because let's say one of the things is a price match. It's good to know that was price matched, rather than if you delete it, you'll never realize how you got to the price you got to.
Okay.
So that's why we have this do not show an invoice button, and that I use it. It's also, in my opinion, quicker than deleting, but I use it, universally for hiding the stuff that's downloaded.
Okay. That helps.
This was another button that we recently added. I know we got some big applause for that. It was really hard to develop. Just kidding. Where it's copying down whatever's here into here so you don't have to manually type it. Ready for next questions. You guys can't let me off this easy.
There was a question on Facebook that I had noticed regarding the template, for a group template. Pasting and copying let's say we're adding 5 rooms onto a group, and we keep copying and pasting, we have to constantly go in and make some adjustments and changes, which kind of, to me, I don't do it. I have someone that does all the invoicing. It kind of leaves room for error, to be honest, because you have, somebody's doing 4 nights opposed to somebody doing 7 nights and so on and so forth. Someone asked if possibly a template could be made on the group.
Yeah, it's on the list for something to discuss in the future, as figuring out how to manage inventory and pull from inventory, similar to the way EGT system actually works today, but doing it within CRM.
Okay.
It's something it's on the list, just not something we've gotten to yet.
Okay.
I think the list is 167 items, so we can't get to everything. As you can see, generally we'll try to hit 1 or 2 big things and a bunch of little things with each release, and that seems to be the best way for us to go forward. And to do inventory management is actually a big change.
Okay.
It's not something simple that is just. It's not something. It would actually have major structural and programming needed for
I'm
it.
not even worried about inventory management for that request someone had made. I just thought that it would be a good idea.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea. I mean, I would love it. It would make my groups easier to see what rooms I have left and things like that, and be able to pull from it and not have to copy a 7-room booking into a 5-room booking and make the date changes that sometimes you mess up on. I'll give my EGT pitch and say, if you do it there, you don't even have this problem. But with everybody else right now, you have to manually manage that in 2 places. And yes, I would agree that it's annoying and there should be a better way to do it. But it's something, again, we aspire to do lots of things, and hopefully that'd be one we get to at some point.
Okay.
So the 2 big things we're working on right now, just I'll announce because I think it's out there, is what we're calling the communications module, which is the email tracking that so many people have asked for. But it would also have the ability to track other correspondence also. So if you were on the phone and wanted to take a phone memo, it could store that. If you had a voicemail that you get as electronic voicemails, you could load that. It would basically just be something to track all communication between you and a contact. So that's what the Valux team has been working on for about 3-4 weeks now since the last release. And then the other thing, which I don't know if it impacts anybody on this phone, is just level 4 reporting. So if people were members of hosts or consortia that wanted to do marketing and other reporting across agencies, we've gotten a big request from that, from obviously host agents and others. Other questions, comments, support questions, issues? I assume most people have seen that we also started to start development on the Carnival API this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all the Carnival families, starting with Carnival, and then we'll go down the list from there. There are subtle differences between brands, which is why we're going to do it one brand at a time.
Any word from Mark Travel about being able to get their technology updated so we can run payments?
No. It's not lack of asking, it's just lack of answers.
Oh yeah, I've mentioned it to several people there.
Yep. I don't know if it's something they're working on or it's not even on their radar.
Okay.
So we have not gotten a response to that. Anything else? I'm going to, if there's nothing else demo related, I'm going to stop the tape